Hi people, how are you? The objective of this recording is to explain what we have been talking about in our Zoom lessons. We dealt with meaning and we said that holiday focuses on meaning more than form. But we also wondered what meaning was. Holiday distinguishes three types of meaning. One is experiential meaning, which has to do with the ways language represents our experience of the world. Not only the reality that surrounds us, but also our inner reality. Then he mentions interpersonal meaning that has to do with the ways in which we use language to interact, with other people. How we act upon one another, how we act upon other people through language. And finally, he also mentions textual meaning, which is related to the ways in which a message is organized in relation to its context. Whether I decided to ask a question instead of giving a command, or whether I decided to use passive voice instead of active voice, but there is always a choice. We also mentioned last Thursday that a functional model of language uses the concept of field, tenor, and mode to describe how a text makes meaning. These are the aspects, features, or we can call them elements of context. And when we analyze each of them, field is related to what the text is about. It's related to experience, to reality. So field has to do with what the text is about, with experience and reality. Tenor has to do with the relationship between the speaker and writer, or the listener and reader. What kind of relationship do they have? Is it close? Is it distant? Is there any kind of hierarchy that I can distinguish? Finally, mode, how the text is built, is constructed, how the text is organized. Here you can see a whole chart with key terms. We said and we mentioned that holiday has like three main terms. One is choice. We have a pool of language that is limited, but I can pick different elements or different patterns or words from that pool of language, and I can combine them in such a way to make multiple meaning. But all the time I am picking, I am choosing. Then we have the idea of context, because whenever we pick language, we choose language, we try to find language that is appropriate, not correct, appropriate in a determined, in such context. And also we do all this to have a text that has meaning, because what we want to do is to mean something. So these are the elements of context: field, tenor, and mode. And as in this subject we are going to analyze the functions of language, we have field that has to do with reality and experience and what the text is about, and has its counterpart, the equivalent in the metafunction that is called ideational, that has to do with experiential meaning. This function refers to reality and how I encode into language the reality I see. So, field, the counterpart is ideation and metafunction. Tenor and its counterpart or equivalent in metafunction that is interpersonal and has to do with interpersonal meaning. And mode that has its counterpart with a textual metafunction and with textual meaning, how we build or how we organize